banjo. That's not a Chinese instrument. Can you even get banjo strings
In China.
in China? Do they even have banjos for sale in China? I've never even seen one.
Well, we did meet a guy that built his own banjo.
We did.
And his name is Hung Tian.
Hung Tian.
And Hung Tian is a blues guy and rock guy from pretty far back, I guess, the Beijing sort of
So he
scene.
had his own banjo.
He built his own
But I didn't-
banjo. It wasn't banjo, but it was a banjo
It
that
was
he
kind of
built.
rough on the old
It was,
fingers and
first
the
round,
ears,
but,
but it was
yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
And he's a really neat blues musician who loves American music and writes with Chinese lyrics. Anyway,
Yeah.
But
He
having
hasn't
said
for a while,
that, there's another couple people that got into the banjo. Actually, one of them through Bela, which is Mamor, who does recordings under. I think it's under Mamor now. He had a band before called I said.
He's on the Real World label now, which
Right.
is very exciting.
Cool.
And he got into banjo. He knew Bela's name before he
He had
ever
Live at the
set
Quick,
eyes
a
on-
recording of banjo of Bela's band in his little hut that he lives in,
Yeah.
way out.
way outside of
Pretty cool.
Beijing. So we went there, and he had a banjo and was excited that Bela was coming, and they jammed together as well. But also recently, Hangai, a Mongolian folk band, Ilichi plays a little bit of banjo, and they even have a song
Called My Banjo
on their
and
album
I.
called My Banjo and I, which is also Starbucks took a liking to.
Yeah, I
apparently.
do believe it was Bela and I, the
Really?
Sparrow Quartet, who introduced them to the banjo, and
Wow.
they and I didn't know anything about the song, and I was just driving through Cookeville, Tennessee, and I pulled over into a Starbucks, and I was like, "Oh, David Byrne put out a compilation." I pick it up, I turn it around, it's like Dirty Projectors, it's like all these bands, and then all of a sudden I'm like, Hangai, what?
Wow.
My Banjo and I. I was like, oh my God, I'm staying in Cookeville, Tennessee, and there it is, Hangai did a
So-
song, My Banjo and I.
Wow.
So it's worked.
It's
you
worked.
can go home now.
I'm done.
Your work
I'm
here is
done
done.
spreading the banjo gospel.
Yes.
I think it's
Let's
succeeded.
Talk about foreign pollution. Well, no, this is not pollution.
Well, the banjo has this long history, though.
We're
I mean,
introducing this instrument
Yeah.
to China, which is a kind of thing. You can have picture, you know, the next generation, people buying banjos and like getting into this.
that's what I'm
music.
saying, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the banjo isn't even American. It's actually African. So
Oh, that's-
I mean, so the banjo isn't really anybody's because this.
Well, if you're going to put it that way,
I mean,
nothing is anything.
that's right, man. That's what we're doing here.
Nothing
in
is
Beijing.
American
Yeah.
if you put it
Right.
that
Nothing's
way.
anything.
Even hamburgers are not American, strictly speaking.
Right.
Come on, give me this purist stuff here. Yeah, but I I assume that a lot of people in the audiences, well, not even American audiences, you know, Bela Fleck is exotic because, you know, who plays jazz on the banjo?
No,
I mean,
it's
you know.
true.
So
It's
I mean,
true.
even for American audiences, it's kind of that's cool, you know.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Chinese must have been staring at this instrument, saying, "Wow, this is amazing. This sound is amazing."
They are and they aren't. I mean, I think the thing that's surprising about the banjo is that it is symbolic, honestly, of like a universal roots instrument sound, which, you know, back in the day when everybody was, you know, in their own little holler trying to figure out how to play music or figuring it out, they were all using these found objects from nature and animals, you know, and they put them all together, and we all ended up with lutes and stringed instruments, and it's a pretty obvious concept to take like a squash or a gourd and put a skin head over it and stick a bamboo or some
Pretty obvious,
wood in
is
there.
what you just said.
Yeah, right.
You look at gourds differently.
That's
than-
what I do with it
I look at
after
gourds.
eating the insides. Maybe then. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just say a lot of places had something like this, and I would say the most similar in terms of structure and sound of instrument in China is the sanxian, which it only has three
Yes.
strings.
I
But
was-
it's a
I'm glad you mentioned-
skin hide of
Yes,
snake.
I'm glad you
over
mentioned that. The
wood.
sanxian. Yes. But,
3 strings.
Great. That sounds to me so much. That's the band. That's the Chinese banjo.
Yeah, it's absolutely
to
the
me.
banjo.
The timbre of that. Every time I hear that, dung ding ding dung dung.
Yeah.
That's banjo.
That's it. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Dung,
yeah.
dung, fretless. Wang, wang. That's the early claw hammer.
Don't you get anyone?
Old-timey
Do
banjo
you get people who
sound.
say, "Oh, that's like the sanxian"? You know, the Chinese people. They must have that as their point of reference.
No, they don't usually actually.
They don't see a similarity, huh?
Well, they don't think of it right away. I don't think the sanxian is the most renowned Chinese folk instrument, even amongst the Chinese themselves.
That's true. It's down on the list.
Yeah.
It's this.
The peepaw, when you hear a bluegrass musician playing with the picks, with the finger picks,
They think of the peepaw.
they think of the peepaw.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, the sanxian is a part of this chui, these little folk art things. So the people who are into chui will know that, but a lot of people don't know.
Another thing is also, particularly when Bela was here, he has this. Well, first of all, he's learned some pipa. He learned a pipa tune,
An
right?
arhu
Masai
tune
or whatever.
called-
Arhu. Sorry.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
he can play that on a
Arhu.
banjo. But then he also has this. There's the tune on the record where he tunes the banjo. He plays a note and uses the tuning pegs
And harmonics.
to tweak it and harmonics so that it sounds like a. What does it sound like? A guqin? You know,
guccine.
it sounds like a
Like a
guccine,
guccine.
and
Oh,
it sounds.
burn. That's kind
Yeah.
of sound. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, the
Dobro-esque.
sound is so obviously not what people expect from a banjo, and I think you hear a lot of people when he was doing that song. I remember at the university concerts, especially, you hear sort of
people really
whispers going through the
responded to
crowd,
that,
going,
yeah.
"I think that's a guccine song. Maybe he's playing a guccine
Yeah.
song."
Oh,
It
interesting.
sounds like
Yeah. See. Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So particularly that sort of jumps out at people. But I think also because he's doing ridiculous things with
Yeah.
you know the tuning pegs at the same time as. But yeah, so I think it's stuff like that that really jumps out at people. I don't think, you know, people just expect an American woman with an instrument to sound like an American
Right.
woman with an instrument,
Yeah.
or you know, a guy or whatever.
Right.
But so I don't know that sounds.
Yeah, it's usually the musicians who are interested in what kind of instrument I'm
Right,
playing, as
right.
opposed to just the package of a foreign lady singing.
Right.
Although that's not true. Like we were talking about Chinese audiences in discerning sophisticated city audiences. That's totally not the case. People have a lot of worldly knowledge about music, and I don't mean to make it sound like there's this
No, I know.
sensibility,
Yeah.
total countryside
Yeah.
stuff.